Stop. Before you go to sleep tonight, hear this. The weight of the last 10 years does not outweigh the power of one decision made in obedience to God tonight. This is not just another evening. This is the night that breaks cycles, rewrites history, and sets your destiny in motion. Chosen one, tonight is the night that counts. You've carried burdens, wrestled with silence, and endured seasons where nothing seemed to shift. But hear me, destiny is not delayed, it's gathering momentum. Tonight isn't just a page in your story, it's the chapter that changes the plot. God didn't bring you this far to let you die in almost. You are the chosen one, and tonight, everything begins to turn. You don't need another 10 years of effort to see a shift. You need one night of surrender. That's the truth we overlook in a world that glorifies hustle and idolizes performance. We think that grinding longer equals growing deeper. But in the kingdom of God, the breakthrough isn't in how hard you push, it's in how deeply you yield. Destiny is not delayed because you haven't tried hard enough. It's delayed because your heart hasn't fully surrendered. The truth is, God never asked you to be perfect. He asked you to be positioned. He's not waiting on your resume. He's waiting on your yes. And until that yes is real, raw, and without reservation, you'll keep walking in circles, fighting battles He never told you to fight, and carrying burdens He already offered to lift. Surrender is not waving a white flag in defeat. It's raising your hands in recognition. Recognition that your own wisdom has run its course. Recognition that your timing has cost you time. Recognition that your own strength, while impressive, is insufficient for the assignment God placed on your life. The enemy wants you to believe you've already missed it, that your mistakes have voided your calling. But God does not cancel purpose because of error. He recalibrates purpose through surrender. He redeems what you release. And what you let go of tonight could unlock what heaven has been holding for you. Some of you are tired, not because you lack strength, but because you've been carrying something you were only meant to release. You've been striving when you should be surrendering. You've been trying to force what only flows by grace. You don't win spiritual battles by grinding harder. You win by getting lower, by submitting your will to the one who wrote your destiny before the foundations of the earth. That dream you have, that calling you feel, that burden that won't leave your spirit, it's not too late. It's not too big. It's not too broken. But it is too divine to be fulfilled through flesh alone. That's why God isn't asking you for your plan. He's asking for your posture. The night everything changes isn't the night you finally got the opportunity. It's the night you finally gave God your heart. The night you decided to stop performing and start trusting. The night you said, not my will, but yours be done. That's when destiny starts moving. That's when doors open without explanation. That's when doors open without acceleration. That's when heaven begins to echo your obedience with divine acceleration. Surrender is the currency of the kingdom, is the trigger for transformation. And when you finally let go of your way, God can finally show you His. Destiny doesn't wait for you to qualify yourself. It responds to the one who dares to trust when it doesn't make sense. One moment of surrender carries the power to reverse years of delay. So stop striving, stop rehearsing your failures, and start releasing your will. Because destiny is not waiting on permission. It's waiting on surrender. The reason the enemy fought you so hard this week is because he knows what happens when the chosen one finally obeys. He knows that all it takes is one night, just one moment of complete surrender for the chains to fall, for the heavens to open, for the trajectory of a life to shift. That's why the distractions intensified. That's why the fear tried to grip you tighter. That's why the old temptation showed up wearing new disguises. It wasn't random. It was a last-ditch effort to stop what's coming when you obey without compromise. You see, the devil doesn't fear your good intentions, your big dreams, or even your prayers. He fears your obedience. Because obedience is what triggers the supernatural. It's what activates divine timing. It's what moves your promise from prophecy to possession. You've been circling the same mountain, praying for change, but avoiding the one decision that would actually produce it. You've delayed long enough. You've rehearsed your excuses. You've told yourself, when things settle down, when I feel stronger, when I'm more prepared. But God isn't looking for your perfection. He's looking for your participation. That's why tonight matters more than you know. Tonight isn't just a pause in your week, it's a pivot in your purpose. You don't need another decade of striving, another 10 years of building without blueprint. You need one night of bold, unapologetic obedience. That's it. Because one yes, one real, unconditional, faithful yes can open doors no man can shut. One yes can reverse generational curses. One yes can unlock vision, provision, and protection. Your yes is not a small thing, it is a key. And when you turn it, heaven moves in ways you've never imagined. The people around you may not understand the urgency, but that's because this moment wasn't sent for them. It was sent for you. And you can't afford to let it pass by while waiting for perfect conditions. This is why the warfare intensified. This is why your emotions have been unstable. Because something in the spirit is pressing and the enemy is panicking. He knows what you don't even fully see yet. That when you obey, when you finally say yes without negotiation, you will step into the kind of favor that only follows obedience. Not talent, not effort, obedience. The kind of favor that shifts timelines and births destiny. So don't you dare wait until next month, next week, or even tomorrow. Heaven isn't waiting for your someday. Heaven is poised for your tonight. The oil is ready. The door is open. The moment is now. You're not behind. You're right on time. The question is, will you finally say yes? Because one night of obedience carries more weight in the spirit than 10 years of empty promises to yourself. You are the chosen one. And if you say yes tonight, everything, and I mean everything, will begin to change. All of heaven leans in when a chosen one realizes their time has come. Angels don't respond to procrastination. They move when purpose is awakened. The windows of heaven don't open for potential. They open for faith. That stirring in your spirit, that restlessness, that's not anxiety. It's divine urgency, because tonight isn't random. It's divinely appointed. The realm of the spirit knows timing far beyond what the natural mind can comprehend. When God marks a moment, all of creation aligns. Heaven has no interest in your comfort zone. It's only interested in your calling. And when a chosen one begins to hear the rumble of destiny within their soul, heaven begins to prepare the atmosphere for miracles. There are moments where heaven seems silent, not because God is absent, but because He's waiting for you to recognize the weight of the moment you're standing in. You've been looking for confirmation, waiting for a sign, hoping for a signal, but tonight is the signal. Tonight is heaven's trumpet blast into your spirit, saying, now is the time. Every great move of God started with a moment, an ordinary moment that became extraordinary because someone finally said yes. Moses had a burning bush. Esther had a king's court. David had a Goliath, and you have tonight. Don't underestimate what can shift in one night of surrender. Heaven doesn't need a decade to change your story. It needs one yielded heart, fully available. That's the kind of heart angels are assigned to. That's the kind of spirit heaven partners with. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be present. Present in this moment. Present in this call. Present with your yes. The enemy doesn't fear your history. He fears your moment of awakening. He fears the night you stop doubting, the night you stop waiting, the night you step into full obedience. Because in that moment, all of hell loses its grip and all of heaven begins to move. Miracles are not random events. They're divine responses to surrendered vessels. You don't have to beg for heaven to notice you. Heaven has been watching you the whole time, but it moves when you do. That's the kingdom principle. Faith without works is dead, but faith in motion is unstoppable. That pressure you feel right now, that isn't the weight of failure, it's the weight of purpose pressing through the cracks of delay. Heaven is applying divine pressure to push you into decision, because when a chosen one moves at the appointed time, generations are shifted, legacies are redeemed, bloodlines are healed. Heaven waits for this moment of awakening, this moment of clarity, this moment where excuses die and purpose rises. Tonight, God isn't calling the qualified. He's qualifying the called. That's you. Not tomorrow, not when it's more convenient, but now. The kingdom has waited long enough. Heaven has already moved. The only question left is, will you? The devil doesn't need to destroy you. He just wants you to delay. He knows he doesn't have to steal your anointing if he can just stall your action. He doesn't have to break your spirit if he can convince you to wait just a little longer. Delay is his most effective weapon because it feels safe. It feels reasonable. It masquerades as wisdom. It shows up in the disguise of, I need more confirmation. Or, the timing isn't quite right. But heaven is not waiting on the perfect conditions. It's waiting on your faith. God is not looking for when you're most comfortable. He's looking for when you're most committed. Delay gives the illusion of control, but it is the quiet killer of divine destiny. When Jesus stood before the tomb of Lazarus, he didn't pause to assess the stench, the decay, or the doubts of the crowd. He didn't consult the calendar or the climate. He simply said, "Come forth." He spoke to what was dead as though it were alive. And Lazarus responded. That moment wasn't convenient. It wasn't pretty, but it was powerful. And that's how destiny works. It doesn't wait for your approval. It waits for your agreement. Destiny is not interested in your comfort zone. It's activated by your courage. The tragedy is that many people live their entire lives embalmed in excuses, wrapped in the grave clothes of hesitation, buried beneath the dirt of almost. But God is speaking a resurrection word over your life right now. And the command is clear. Come forth, move now, act tonight. Delay is disobedience dressed in dignity. It tries to convince you that hesitating is holy, that waiting is wise. But partial obedience is full rebellion. When God says now, to say later is to side with the enemy. And make no mistake, hell rejoices every time you procrastinate your purpose. Every time you wait another year, another season, another month, hell applauds because it knows that time is not on your side when you're out of alignment. Purpose does not age well in the hands of delay. It withers, it dulls, it loses potency. And the tragedy is not just what you miss, it's what the world misses because you were too afraid to move. You weren't created to rehearse what God told you to release. You weren't called to sit on strategies heaven already approved. Destiny is God's signature on your life. It's His unmistakable stamp that says, this one was made for greatness. This one was chosen for impact. And that signature becomes visible the moment you obey, immediately, radically, and without reserve. You don't have to understand every detail to take the first step. You just need to trust the author who wrote your end before you were ever born. Destiny doesn't need a deadline. It needs a decision. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel brave. Not when the bank account looks better. Not when people finally support you. Now. Because your later is the enemy's playground, but your now is God's launching pad. Move now. Trust now. Obey now. Destiny is calling, and it's calling by name. Some of you are standing at the doorway of deliverance, but fear has paralyzed your feet. You've been here before. You've almost stepped out. You've fasted, you've cried, you've even made promises in the middle of the night, vowing you'd never return to what broke you. But somehow the moment to act came, and fear whispered louder than faith. It told you to wait. It told you to reconsider. It dressed hesitation as wisdom and delay as discernment. And because comfort felt familiar, you stayed. But hear this. Familiar is not the same as faithful. What is familiar can still be fatal. What is comfortable can still be a cage. And you were not born for cages. You were born to break them. You were not designed for cycles. You were destined to disrupt them. You weren't called to tiptoe around deliverance. You were anointed to run through it. Tonight, something shifts. Because tonight, you no longer negotiate with your past. You no longer rehearse what hurt you. You no longer wait for perfect peace before you take imperfect steps. You cross over. You move forward, not because it feels safe, but because God said go. You take the risk, not because you feel ready, but because your calling demands it. The enemy wants to convince you that breakthrough is always later. That change takes time. But sometimes transformation comes in a moment, in a midnight, in a sudden act of obedience, in one shout, one step, one decision. And tonight, that decision is yours. You don't need another confirmation. You don't need another sign. The sign is that you're still here, still breathing, still called, still chosen, still wrestling, because deep down, your spirit knows that your deliverance isn't on the other side of comfort, it's on the other side of courage. Comfort is seductive because it makes bondage look manageable. It makes pain feel predictable. It lets you survive without truly living. But courage, it pulls you into the unknown. It invites you to walk on water. It challenges you to face the lion's den, the fiery furnace, the Goliath of your life, with nothing but a sling and a word from God. And that's enough. You've been praying for a breakthrough, but God's been waiting for a bold move. You've asked Him to change the story, but He's asking you to pick up the pen and write a new ending. Cycles don't stop on their own. Chains don't fall by accident. Patterns don't break with pity. They break with power. Power that is ignited by courage. Power that is released when the chosen decide, I refuse to live another day on repeat. Tonight, your roar returns. Not the sound of fear, not the sound of excuses, the sound of a soul finally awake, the sound of a person who's tired of almost, the sound of someone who knows they were not built to bow to fear, but to rise in faith. Your roar is not just for you, it's generational. What you break tonight, your children will never have to battle. What you overcome tonight, your legacy will carry as victory. This is not about feeling brave. This is about being brave. This is about stepping when you're scared, trusting when you're trembling, and moving even when the map is missing. Because courage doesn't wait for comfort. Courage creates change. And tonight, you become the change. Chosen one, listen to me. The last 10 years were training, but tonight is transition. The pain was preparation, but tonight is performance. You don't need more time. You need more trust. This is the night where heaven marks your obedience and hell mourns your awakening. Don't scroll past this. Don't sleep through this. Don't wait another year to do what God told you to do tonight. Because tonight is the night that history changes. And you are the one chosen to change it. Now move.